Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Introducing your hosts, Kids at Heart.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Surprisingly enough, the second time that you were supposed to hear that intro this week, because of the Really Trivia Showdown matchup, where we debuted as a tag team faction for the first time. But when we were talking about it, we were like, hey, do we need to come up with like a fake song? Not a fake song, but like a real song, like a legit song. We're like, no, we already have one. Anyways, my name is Nick Mulbach. I'm joined by the Soul Survivor himself, Mr. Chris Anthony Lopez, and welcome back to another Wrestle Reel. I think this is episode 7.
Yes.
Or so. 6 or 7, but we've made it this far, my friend. It's crazy to think that we've made it this far talking about how long it took us to finally get here, but you know what? We've been consistent. We've been doing extra work. I know I've been doing my extra work. I'll tell you, ever since our Raw watch along, which is on the channel, I think. If not, I need to get it to Taylor just to make sure that we're all good there. My whole life has become watching things on the WWE Network. So I have been just going back to episodes of Raw and SmackDown from when I was really into wrestling when I was younger. I am almost all the way through, and I don't think I'm going to watch Brock Lesnar versus Triple H, but I'm almost all the way through SummerSlam 2012.
Oh, I think I like that match, Lesnar Triple H.
I don't know. Kevin Rudolph or whatever his name is was just performing the theme song that nobody's ever heard before. So, and it was literally like right before the match. I watched CM Punk beat or finesse John Cena into winning the WWE Championship back. You know, watched Alberto. Do we want to talk about him? Del Rio. Well, hey, we could call him Alberto Del Rio. He didn't do anything wrong when he was Alberto Del Rio.
El Patron, on the other hand.
We don't want to talk about him. Lose to Sheamus. We love it. Cesaro, fun enough. Cesaro beats Santino Marella for the United States Championship on the pre-show. So I never got to see that match. I got to watch the highlights of it. They replayed a little bit of it later on. The one thing I'll pull from this show, and then I'll shut up for a few seconds maybe, is Miz beats Rey Mysterio. And literal afterthoughts of the match is just him incredibly dizzy looking, like he's about to like turn around and give Rey Mysterio a hug. But he was definitely a heel at the time, so I don't know. It was a very odd ending to the match.
Did he get concussed?
He might. Honest to God, he might have been concussed. I don't know.
Because was it what WrestleMania was it where he main evented with Cena 27?
I think so. Yeah.
Because you can tell he was concussed there when his head hit the pavement, when The Rock was like, keep the match going, brother. And it's definitely not how The Rock sounds, but still.
Wow.
But The Miz, his head hit the pavement after they went into the crowd, and he was concussed from that point forward, and they had to finish the match. And so when you see Miz celebrating that he won the main event at WrestleMania, he was all over the place, brother.
He wasn't sure that he even did. And they were making a joke alluding to that. But I think he was WWE champion by that point. This was just one of his many, many reigns with like singles titles and stuff like that. Now he possibly has one built in with the opportunity with Money in the Bank. We love to see it personally. Parma, funny enough, Parma, Ohio is where he's from. And that is, for those of you who watch, I'm from Ohio. Chris is from everywhere right now. It just feels like I've been stuck in Ohio. You're all over the place. I'm telling you. But Parma, Ohio is where my dad's side of the family is from. So like my uncle has talked about meeting our favorite mustache dad, Mr. Miz himself.
George?
Yeah, he's talked to him before. So, you know, I'm a big Miz stan here. You know that.
Love the
We
Miz.
love the Miz, and I'm hoping that as much as I love the Miz, I love myself some Jomo too. And honestly, Miz might have taken over John Morrison for me. I grew up loving John Morrison. He was in my top 3, and I love Miz, so I'm hoping for the best when it comes to his championship reign. But how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, dude. I may have, I don't know if I told you while we were on the show last week or if it was before the show or after the show, but I had some issues with my car.
No, it was on the show. We opened with it.
Yeah, so I got all that situated.
Oh, good. Car update 2020. Love it.
Car update. My car is the sole survivor. That's gonna be fine. Everything's all fine. Shout out to my insurance for being the absolute best and being so easy to work with. But I did that. The election was this week, and as of this recording, we still don't know. We still know what's going on. But with my job, so it's funny because on Monday, the day before the election, I asked one of the guys that's been there for a while. He's been there for like 30 years, right? And I'm like, hey, do we do anything for the election? Because I knew I was going to do something. I knew I was going to do like website stuff, like updating the electoral college vote numbers as I went. But he's like, yeah, we actually do like a lot. And I'm like, well, define a lot. It wasn't a lot, but right. I was at work, so I went to work for my usual time on Tuesday. I got there at 6. Took my usual extended break, left at 4. And I went back at 6:30, and I was there till 11 o'clock just to go back the next day at 7:30. So it was a long day for your boy, and legitimately, I was so tired up until this recording. I took a nap. I took a nap earlier today. 2.5 hours of just nothing. Like I didn't worry about a single thing. I was the happiest boy on the planet for 2.5 hours because I was asleep, and I was in like the deepest sleep. Like I'd wake up and my phone would be on. I scroll through Facebook a couple times and then fall asleep. My phone would still be on. I'd do it again. Like it was one of those types of sleep, and it was so damn good. But one thing I want to touch on that you mentioned before we actually start the show, because we actually have some fun things to talk about today. You said you're going back on the network and you're watching old Raws and SmackDown. That's something I legitimately have not done on the network. I've gone back and watched old pay-per-views that I watched. Shout out to the 2010 or 2009 SummerSlam. That was the first SummerSlam my mom bought for me. Pay-per-view. It was so.
Shout out to mom. Shout out to mom, because my mom would not have done that.
She did it once. It was the one and only.
Hey, that's one more than mine did.
Yeah, I loved because I mean wrestling was jam, and like we were watching wrestling at the same time, and I think you may have started watching wrestling a little before me.
It might have been, yeah.
I was 2009.
Okay, yeah, this definitely was, because that's like Armageddon. John Cena or Jeff Hardy wins 2009. I definitely was before that. I was like when Carlito and Ric Flair were like teaming together. That's how old I am.
No, but I and maybe one day we can go into depth on the things that we watched when we started wrestling. But yeah, mine was 2009. I watched, catch this, the WrestleMania DVD, WrestleMania 25 DVD that my cousin had, and he let me borrow it, and it's one of those borrows that you never give back. I may still own it somewhere, and maybe I don't know if we can make it work, but we might have to watch WrestleMania 25 one of these days.
Hey, listen, man, we have all the time in the world to do as much as we can, and what I did not realize was the immense amount of, because I knew obviously the pay-per-views were on there. Some of them you need to look up weird things, because when you had mentioned Fatal 4-Way, I was like, oh, is Fatal 4-Way on here? I needed to find it. I found it eventually. It just took me a while. But I didn't realize, full episodes. Not a lot of the modern stuff is on, like Raw and SmackDown is on there. They could do condensed versions of it. But like, unless there's an hour's worth of commercials on Raw, which maybe there is, I don't know. But like, man, I did not realize that I could search a date and go back until obviously Nick O, shout out to Nick O, wanted us to do the Raw watch along. Because then I'm like, oh, well, of course they're going to have this Raw on there. It's an important Raw. But then I look and I see, and I'm like, I could literally just look up any Raw. Because I was like, I was thinking today, I'm like, and we'll get into him later, but I'm just like, remember, did Dolph Ziggler win the WWE Championship at some point? He didn't. It was a bunch of fluky wins, but like, I'm like, holy crap, like all these things have happened before that I didn't even realize either had happened or I forgot about. Because before obviously we get into the fun stuff, obviously I keep tangenting it off to different things.
I don't want, again, no Nick Mohbach slander. We're talking about whatever you want to talk about. See Mohbach Punk. That's what we're on. The first Raw that I watched was CM Punk cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. Yeah.
Because I watched that live. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched CM Punk cash in the Money in the Bank contract.
Who did he cash in on? Was it
It was Edge.
Edge, yeah, it was.
Because what had happened was the draft had happened, and I think Night of Champions or SummerSlam or something like that had happened. And so here's the deal. We have 3 hours of Raw, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong. But oh my goodness, did I forget that Raw and SmackDown was 75% talking back in the day. Now, the draft had just happened, so it was a lot of like setting up storylines and stuff like that. But like, I'm pretty sure I watched 4 matches the entire show. The rest of it was all set up and talking. And the
matches were short. The matches were really short.
They were. I think that I had watched. Oh, Jesus. I'm not obviously going to be like, I watched this, and this, and go into every single detail. But like Kofi Kingston versus Chris Jericho in a rematch for the Intercontinental Championship was there. Free TV, by the way. I mean, Kofi was very early into his run at that point, but yes, but it was like the Shawn Michaels, but that was all set up too because it was Shawn Michaels. It was the Shawn Michaels feud time that was happening.
That whole program it was like a year. It felt like a year.
John Cena and JBL and CM Punk and blah blah blah. JBL faced CM Punk in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. And what the thing I'll leave this whole conversation on, because I did watch a little bit of SmackDown, but there really wasn't anything too notable. I was kind of skipping around going, oh, I've watched this before. I was about to spoil my thing. JBL, white Alberto Del Rio, had
wow, that's awfully correct. Yes.
It's very similar gimmicks. But it's funny what I'm about to say. Had security to get John Cena out of the building, and since this was right before, funny enough, with the election, right, there was the Raw after the $1 million giveaway or whatever that McMahon was doing.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's funny because, well, not funny because we don't like him, but the president was obviously a big role in him giving away all that money. So it all goes full circle is all I'm trying to say. Security for Alberto Del Rio, or for JBL. One of them is Alberto Del Rio. Wow. And one of them was shocking to me. It was Blake of Blake and Murphy.
Whoa!
I'm pretty sure at least. But I'm like, that dude had been in developmental if it was him for the longest time.
That was Wesley Blake?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God. There's no way. Unless he was like, that must have been, because what was that, 2006? 5?
No, that was no.
7?
That was 2009-ish time, 2008. It was 2008.
2008. Okay. So that was what, FCW?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It might have not been him. It just looks like him. But like, because it's always funny to, and I tried to do it again for something else I was watching. I think that they were cutting back to Alberto Del Rio had security come out on Sheamus. It was supposed to be the police coming out for their premature SummerSlam match. So I was trying to pause it. I think it was probably just a bunch of like local guys for California. I always like to pause and see who these people are because MJF was one a while ago. It's Dean Ambrose has been a security. CM Punk was in John Cena's WrestleMania entrance.
23?
Alexa Bliss, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch were in Triple H's entrance.
It was Sasha instead of Becky.
Or Sasha. Yeah. We're all in Triple H's entrance music entrance for WrestleMania when he was doing the Skull King. So it's just like it's just all interesting to me to see. I'm gonna be doing this a lot where I'll just be like, I watched this today and it was so interesting.
I got to doing that too. I got to watching wrestling.
I saw Todd Grisham. I miss Todd Grisham. I love Todd Grisham.
Where's he?
I watched
what's he doing
ESPN.
Now? ESPN? Yeah,
I think so. Like Coach did, but I hated. There's one thing that I hated was heel Michael Cole, but we'll get into heel Michael Cole, I'm sure, at some point on the show. With that, let's get into count number 1.
So we were talking about what we could possibly do, just something fun for the show, at least to start this show, because the other two things we got going on are awfully topical for the next couple weeks of programming, especially for this weekend. But like Nick, you had texted me and you said, we had talked about certain wrestlers and how they haven't had the opportunities that they should have had. Right. And we talked like Cesaro. We talked about on this show. We had talked about how we think Big E at some point is going to have a world title run. I went on my thing about Montez Ford, and so we were thinking, or you had texted me let's do missed opportunities. But we each chose one. I have one in my brain that it's more recent, I should say, but I still think it's a huge drop ball. But yours actually was the info for this whole thing. So by all means, please let the people know what your missed opportunity is for wrestling. Well,
let's start off by saying this. Chris and I last week, he had uploaded a bunch of pictures and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, dude, my man. So I do have some like title cards and stuff like that. So my missed opportunity is not Mae Young, is Dolph Ziggler. Just in general, this world heavyweight championship run was not good. It wasn't. It was too short. Yada yada yada. But just in general, how many world title matches has this guy been in where he's proven that he's the best? I watched even before we had decided on this today. I watched all of Dolph Ziggler's title wins because for some reason, again, I was thinking that he was either awarded. He's a 2-time world heavyweight champion. Did you know that?
What?
Because Vicky Guerrero once awarded him the vacant world heavyweight championship for a little bit.
They count that? Did
they count that? Well, the video I was watching counted it because I thought that it happened with the WWE Championship spinner belt once too. When he had brown hair.
Yuck, no.
When he was feuding with Edge, but that might have been for that World Heavyweight Championship.
I think it was the world title.
But this dude, man, he has won the Intercontinental Championship more than I can count on my hands, I feel like. A couple of tag team title reigns. He's done it all. Yet everybody will say that at the end of the day that he's just a discount Shawn Michaels. And at that point, I think he looks more like Mr. Perfect, but that's just me.
Right?
But I feel like Dolph Ziggler is what Mr. Perfect was, but he's won the world championship. You know what I mean? It's like he's this guy who should be... I'm not trying to say he's Roddy Piper in that situation because Roddy Piper should have won 2 or 3 world championships, in my opinion. Mr. Perfect, I can see why you would ground him where you ground him, but I think that he had something in him. But Ziggler has been on the top of the mountain. It's just like the WWE has decided basically to not book him well, and I don't really understand why. There's been opportunities, but there's just been so many missed opportunities. Could have had a really meaningful feud with him and McIntyre. That was who I wanted him to drop it to originally. I was like, well, when he became the number one contender, I was like, why not? I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was just kind of like, throw it on him. Why not? It can't hurt. I mean, he's underrated. They're giving, I would say the same thing about The Miz. They're both workhorses who deserve way more than they're getting. On the other hand, Miz is probably going to get his just due. You know, I don't think that you go through all this and then not have him, win the belt. I think that they're going to wait on it a little bit because I definitely do think that the Fiend is it's going to be a triple threat match after Survivor Series. Unless Randy drops it earlier, and I will kind of allude to the idea that Wobbly Walrus is there for a reason, unless they completely drop that angle. I think it'll be Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. We're going to get a pretty freaking good match, I would imagine, out of it. But at the end of the day, Dolph Ziggler, man, it should have been him. It should have been him. So who do you got for me, buddy?
So okay, so just to give my 2 cents on Dolph Ziggler real quick.
Yeah.
I have been a Dolph Ziggler mark for years. I think it started when I watched him cash in on Alberto Del Rio. I think this is the first and only show we've mentioned that man's name this many times.
And we've mentioned it so many times.
Like a few times, almost uncomfortable how many times we talked about Alberto Del Rio. But he cashed in on him, and they did the whole injury angle. But actually, surprisingly, the short match that they had was full of drama because there were like near falls and shit. There's a point where like, yo, Del Rio's about to beat Ziggler, But one of the greatest moments of the I will say this right now. One of the greatest moments of the WWE in the 21st century. I'm not saying it's top 5. I'm not saying it's top 10. It's probably top 20, or at least it should be top 20.
Yeah.
Was when Dolph Ziggler pinned him, and the crowd was like, ah! Like the roar of the crowd.
The pop when he came out was
the pop that he had when he came out was insane. The pop that he had when he won was insane. I forget where they were at, but they became unglued. The arena was unglued when Ziggler came out and when Ziggler won the belt. It was absolutely nuts. And you mentioned like, why didn't they do anything with him? You think that pop would have meant something, right?
You have the Money in the Bank briefcase on the guy for a reason, right? It only makes sense.
And the pop, the reaction that he gets, and you do little to nothing with it afterwards. And since then, he hasn't gone back to the top of the mountain. I know Vince likes the big, the juicy man. I know, I get that. But I will never understand why Dolph Ziggler wasn't treated a little bit better. Maybe they were backstage politics. Maybe they thought he was an asshole backstage. Because we have heard of that before, where wrestlers' personas, the real life personas, got them in some heat backstage. Maybe I don't know what the hell like he did, but he never got back to that point. Granted, he's still a fan favorite. Speaking of The Miz, you mentioned him not too long ago. His feud with The Miz from 2018, I think it was 18, was beautiful. Spectacular. It was spectacular. And again, that was the last time we got close, where the fans were like, oh my gosh, Dolph Ziggler. And ever since, he's just been floating, right? And while us over here, we're like, give us more Ziggler. Like, but he's had a successful career the way he has. And every time he comes out for the Rumble, he gets a big pop. So I will, WWE, I don't know what the hell, I don't know what the hell Nick Nemeth has done to you guys, but Dolph Ziggler deserves more. Maybe because he cursed him with a name like Dolph Ziggler. My God.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, my thing that I'll say about it is, hold on. That was purposeful because I could hear myself echoing in my headphones. Anyways, but bingo. But that's my thing is like if If they're doing it with the Miz, maybe they'll do it with Ziggler. Maybe. But what do you got for me? What do you got for me?
Yeah. So like I said, mine's a little more recent. So I think this one is a glaring missed opportunity, at least in the current the I don't know what they're calling this era of WWE. Like it's like not the PG era anymore.
The Performance Center era.
Yeah, and it kind of stems it stems back to that, like the post NXT era.
Yeah.
Of NXT forward. Because I think NXT's introduction changed the game for WWE and even changed the wrestling on the main roster. Plus, you get a lot of the same guys overlapping and with the roster call-ups, and that's where I'm going with this. So, we mentioned this guy's name on the show before, and we mentioned how much both of us love him. We love this man. And
I think I know where you're going with this already.
He won the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And I want to say, yeah, he won the Royal Rumble last year. 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So
because Roman Reigns won the year before, right?
Now I'm forgetting. Hold
on. You talk. I'll do your research for you.
So Shinsuke Nakamura.
Uh-huh.
Shinsuke Nakamura was a man on fire when he first showed up in NXT. Like, he was on fire. No one could have stopped Nakamura's own push. He was a part of that NXT roster that was on crack. It was like him, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, on top of all the NXT mainstays like the Garganos and the Ciampas, all that jazz, right? They were killers, putting on steel cage matches at live events and titles changing and all these different things. It was nuts. Shinsuke Nakamura was on fire, and he had in that debut match against Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver Dallas that we mentioned on the show not too long ago, or a couple weeks ago. It's one of my favorite matches of the 21st century. Like, it's probably one of my favorite matches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I love that match to death. And he got to the main roster, and I was there. I was at Backlash. I was at that Backlash. He made his main roster match debut against Dolph Ziggler, of all people. And then he won, but the match was lackluster, and it's like, oh no, here we go. But then, when did he win the Royal Rumble, Nick? Did you find out for me?
I can confirm that it was the 2018 Royal Rumble. The 2019 Royal Rumble was won by Mr. Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
A forgettable Rumble winner, if I can say. Because Becky Lynch overshadowed the freaking hell out of that.
Yes, she did. Wow, yeah, damn, I forgot he won the Rumble. That's sad. But yes, Shinsuke Nakamura won 2018. So when he won that, it's like, there's a new fire, right? They trusted him. They're trusting him. And it's like, who's he gonna pick now? And I think the champions at the time were Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles, if I'm not mistaken. But Shinsuke Nakamura went to AJ and he was like, I want you. And I'm like, oh God! Because for any fan of wrestling, they know that Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles have put on some barn burners at New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, they knew that that's where Shinsuke made his name, and that's where AJ went between Impact and WWE. And he had a killer run in New Japan, and those matches with Shinsuke Nakamura were a big part of that. So we were expecting Wrestle Kingdom-esque matches. We were all thinking to ourselves, oh my God, they're going to do Wrestle Kingdom. They're going to do Japan Wrestling in a WWE ring, one of the main events of WrestleMania. Holy God, that is insane. Granted, the WrestleMania main event name is so watered down nowadays. I feel like half the card's a main event.
Yep.
But the 2018 WrestleMania, so this would be WrestleMania 33 in New Orleans. So at the Silverdome, brother. But they had a match, and it ended. It was so lackluster. It was so disappointing.
Yeah.
And it was fine. That was the problem. It was fine. The match was fine. we were all expecting that New Japan Pro Wrestling-esque wrestling from these guys. And we get the match, and AJ retains, and everyone's like, what? You're not going to give the belt to Nakamura, who's been on fire since he won the Rumble? What? So at least I guarantee it was my reaction, and that was probably your reaction as well. Like, yo, give the man the belt. AJ don't need it. AJ don't need a belt to be successful in WWE, right?
No, he doesn't.
After 2016, the killer year that was 2016 in WWE, at least the back half for sure. But like when AJ was on SmackDown post 2016 draft, where everyone was like, "Oh, SmackDown, like that's like they got screwed," and then they had the best wrestling in the past decade on the main roster because the matches were so damn good with Dean Ambrose being your champ. Yes, please. So that just proved AJ didn't need a belt, right? AJ don't need no damn belt. He's killing it right now on Raw, and he don't have no damn belt. What?
No, he's got that bodyguard guy.
Yeah, he has the bodyguard dude. Like he's worried about Survivor Series. He's not in the main event picture. He's not, because this needs to be. So 2 years ago, WrestleMania 33, New Orleans, Shinsuke Nakamura loses to freaking AJ Styles, and it's like, all right, like fine, and then he turns heel. He freaking sends him to Dick Kick City. Shout out to Brian Zane, and we're like, what? Like, you're going to turn Shinsuke heel? So then that's where like, oh, maybe they have some plan, right? So then the next month, they have a rematch. And I forget the pay-per-view, but Shinsuke loses again! In a better match, he loses again! And ever since then, Shinsuke Nakamura has not reached that peak. It's been 2.5 years, almost.
Want to know why? Dude's lost to Jinder.
That's a whole different thing.
Well, it is, but you know what's crazy about that? And that is the reason why I'll bring that up, because I completely agree. I don't need to add anything to that. That is the freaking truth. But Brock and Shinsuke have fought together in New Japan.
Yes.
And it was very clear and evident that Brock was not going to face against Jinder Mahal. He would refuse it.
Yep.
So your perfect opportunity right there, twice now you've screwed Shinsuke, is to put Shinsuke. Now, granted, they gave it to AJ. I don't hate that.
They gave it to AJ the Tuesday before at a pre-taped SmackDown overseas. Are you kidding me?
I don't. Well, don't get me wrong. I don't hate that Brock faced AJ.
Oh, neither do I. That match rule. That rule. That
said, Nakamura versus Brock would have torn the roof down.
Bro. Like Nakamura, Lesnar at damn Survivor Series that year in 2000, was it 2018? Yeah. Oh,
19. That would have been 19, I think.
No, maybe. Brian faced him. Oh
yeah, another switch up.
Yeah, like, oh my god. Y'all just hate Shinsuke Nakamura. And a tag belt ain't gonna cut it. A new theme ain't gonna cut it. Granted, his new theme is hard. It is hard still. His old theme's harder, but the new theme's still hard. Can't lie. But come on, man. And it's not too late. It's not too late. He's on SmackDown, so he's gonna have to worry about Roman Reigns. Not now. The thing though, take his ass away from Cesaro. Like, stop putting these two men in tag teams they don't need to be in. Excuse me, but like, my God, bro.
Build the ones you've got.
Exactly, build them, or don't split up the ones you got already, bro. Like,
it's
so stupid.
Okay, here, we'll talk about a missed booking opportunity that happened on Monday Night Raw. That's really not a missed booking opportunity yet, but hey, can we talk about how Tucker lost in a match where he didn't get an entrance music? It has a new look there. He looks absolutely positively terrible and is not feuding with Otis?
Nick, for the sake of this program and for the sake of my own sanity,
sanity, missed booking opportunity.
I don't think I have the mental capacity to talk about Tucker in any fashion, because that was the stupidest thing I've seen in a while.
I
And just
agree.
wait till my high spot to end the show. It's me getting on my soapbox. Spoiler alert. Stick around to the end of the show. Chris is going to get on his soapbox about something we've talked about in the show many times, but we'll get to that later.
Well, hey, we can't get to your soapbox quite yet until we move on to Mr. Number.
AEW Full Gear is this Saturday, so tomorrow. And there is a lot going on for this show. You see some of the guys that are going to be featured on the show on the poster right now. By the way, shout out to AEW. We don't get to talk about them too much on this show because usually we tape the show during AEW's live show or their taping. So we don't get to talk about AEW as much. But because Full Gear is this Saturday, I feel like we just have to.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into detail on every single match, but maybe we make a few predictions here and there. Yeah,
I would love to go through. I love to just go through the match card. Maybe not go too in depth on all these matches, but like you said, give some predictions on the show because this will be a fun show. Spoiler alert: this show's going to be good.
Yeah, I would like to just give a shout out to the design team over there. Like WWE used to do fun stuff like this. I know that every single match card photo has had gears built off of the people's faces and stuff like that. WWE doesn't really do that anymore. I give shout out to AEW for that. But yeah, let's talk about that first match up.
So this card at Full Gear, they're really making us work for it. They're making us work for a good show. Granted, and I've talked about this stuff on AEW before, or on this show about AEW before, is that how they're the marquee show, the Smarky show. Like if you're reading the dirt sheets or watching AEW, you like AEW because that's what they're giving you. They're giving you what you want, for better or for worse.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what this is panning out to be. They're giving us what we want, but for the future, is it for the better or for the worse? And I guarantee we can touch on that for certain things if the time comes. But I feel like the first one we can talk about, a match that was announced a couple days ago. Nothing too crazy. It's John Silver. I believe he's number 4 in the Dark Order. He's facing Orange Cassidy. And this is just a match thrown together. At least there's been some setup between best friends and the Dark Order. The Dark Order's just scattered all over the AEW card.
They do everything.
Yeah, good on them. They're finding a way to utilize a group of obscure gimmicks. Because AEW knows how to damn do it. But the stuff like this match, John Silver and Orange Cassidy. John Silver is one of those guys who's super slept on. He's featured on Being the Elite all the time. Him and Alex Reynolds, probably two of the better wrestlers of the Dark Order. Obviously, without mentioning Brody Lee or Colt Cabana, but Orange Cassidy, John Silver of the Dark Order. Nick, who you got?
Listen, I'm never gonna go against Orange Cassidy. I love Orange Cassidy. It's so dumb, but I love Orange Cassidy. But it's not dumb at the same time because it's just some guy doing something completely fun and original with his character. So I'm gonna go with Orange Cassidy.
It's this, and maybe one day we can fully dissect Orange Cassidy as a especially I guarantee, 90% of wrestling fans did not know who he was until he popped up on AEW. I didn't. I had no idea who Orange Cassidy was. I saw him go viral a couple of times, so I couldn't put a name to a face. But I also have Orange Cassidy. I don't see that man losing any matches anytime soon. He just came off a kick-ass program with Chris Jericho.
Right. So he faced against Cody for the TNT title. You don't stick. I mean, I'm not trying to say that the other guy isn't a random member of the Dark Order, but he's not the prominent, Dark Order Brody Lee. Yeah, Brody Lee, our boy Luke Harper, killing it as always. But next up.
So Matt Hardy's back in action at AEW after being cleared, and he's been featured on AEW since. And my man is going to face off against Sami Guevara one more time in what they're calling an Elite Deletion match. Do we know what this match consists of? I have no idea. If they've talked about it on AEW, it just probably went over my head. But an Elite deletion match, I'm expecting this to be pre-taped, or portions of it to be pre-taped. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But finally, in what seems to be the end of this endless feud of Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy, who do you got and why?
Oh, it's got to be Matt Hardy. I just feel like there's enough going in his favor. You got the deletion thing going on, but let's just face it, you got to get the revenge for the injury going on.
Word, and that's totally an angle that they can pull. I think Sammy Guevara is going to take this.
Really?
Yeah. Sammy Guevara he's had a rough 2020.
Yeah.
Whether it's obviously the pandemic affecting AEW programming, a lot of programs got dropped, and then he made some unsettling comments towards other lady wrestlers in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And he was taken off TV for a little bit. He got a lot of shit for the Matt Hardy injury, or the Matt Hardy not concussion that Matt Hardy got at All Out. He caught a lot of shit for that. But Sammy Guevara is one of the up and coming stars. If not, he's already a star in pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Came out of nowhere when AEW first popped up. He's part of the first AEW match. I was like, who the hell is this Sammy Guevara guy with the panda head? Who the hell is this nerd? And now he's probably one of my favorite members of the Inner Circle. That's not Nick Jericho. So I think Sammy's going to go over. I think Matt's at the stage in his career where he doesn't need big wins like this because he's still Matt Hardy.
Yeah, but if they're going to make Broken Matt Hardy, though, a big thing, they're got to, I don't know. He's got to win his matches. It's like when they were trying to make Great Khali a big thing, and then they stuck him in Punjabi prison matches.
Yuck. Sounds cool in theory. Poor execution.
Yes.
I'm scared this Elite deletion match may be the same thing. But granted, AEW's been killing it with the pre-taped matches this year. Prime example, the match they had, the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
They had earlier this year. Phenomenal match, and that was all pre-taped. So I do have Sammy going over. But that's not the only action the Inner Circle has throughout the pay-per-view, as Chris Jericho will be facing off against MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And this is for an opportunity for MJF to join the Inner Circle if he wins. And this has been pretty interesting, the storyline on AEW. Because what they've been doing is they did the whole musical segment a couple weeks ago.
Loved it.
Which is fantastic. And then MJ's like, I want to join the Inner Circle. And Chris Jericho's like, what? And they had a whole summit about it. They had a little press conference. And Chris Jericho's like, yo, if you beat me at Full Gear, you can join the Inner Circle. And the other members are like, wait a second. Who the hell is it? We don't like this guy. We don't like this nerd, right? And this past Wednesday on Dynamite, it was a tag match between MJF and Wardlow and Ortiz, not Santana Ortiz, just Ortiz and Sammy Guevara. And MJF and Wardlow won. And immediately after the match, MJF went and beat the hell out of Chris Jericho, who's on commentary the whole night, because Jericho's like, you lack that intensity, you lack that oomph. And he's like, oh, you want it? I'm gonna give it to you. And then bam, that's exactly what he did. So Nick, in a battle for joining the Inner Circle, who wins between Chris Jericho and MJF?
Just because I think that, I don't know. I feel like I'm choosing. Well, I don't even know. Is Jericho the face? You know, when you don't have a crowd, you could do heel versus heel type stuff. And this is what I think that this kind of is. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's going to be more to this than we think. I think the musical segment alone showed the chemistry between the two of them to put the tag team championships onto MJF and Chris Jericho. And I think he's going to win. MJF.
Wow. Winning the tag belts, MJF and Jericho. Who are the current tag champs are FTR, and we'll get to FTR in a little bit. But wow, that's nuts. I didn't think about that. A popular theory I saw online was that the fact that MJF, MJF's going to win this match. There's no, I don't think there's a timeline where Jericho loses. So MJF's going to win, and maybe, just maybe, over the course of time, like months. I'm talking like months go by. Maybe he tries to turn the inner circle away from Chris Jericho.
I was thinking of that too. Yeah.
So maybe we'll see how that goes. You got to play the long game with that with him and MJF. But like you mentioned, their chemistry is phenomenal. But MJF's totally winning this match, 1,000%.
Builds the story.
Exactly. And speaking of things, speaking of story, the AEW Women's Division lacks all the story on the planet. And they just threw together this match for Full Gear because Hikaru Shida needed something to do. So she's facing Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship. Nick, who you got?
Yeah, I'll give it to the champ in this situation. Just because I think that Britt Baker is going to take her out.
That'd be awesome.
It's a match I've been waiting to see, honestly, but I don't know if she's still hurt.
I think she's coming back relatively soon. But, I mean, I agree with you. I'm going to give it to Hikaru Shida because, first of all, love Hikaru Shida. Love her. She's great. But they've been booking her like garbage.
Mm-hmm.
AEW, that's the only bad thing I can say about AEW that's on a week-to-week basis. Yes, I shit on the fact that they're for smarks, but at the same time, they give me good shit. Like, they give me the good stuff. They give me what I want because I'm a mark, brother.
Shit right there.
That's good shit. And I say that every week, at least once while watching AEW programming. But I never say that. Never have said that about AEW Women's Division. Because they lack story. Like, who cares? Who gives a shit? If you don't like Hikaru Shida, you don't give a fuck. Or, excuse me, you don't give a shit about... damn, I still cut. I don't care. You don't give a shit about Hikaru Shida or the Women's Championship if you don't care about either one, right? And right. They haven't given people a reason to care. Yeah. I like Hikaru Shida. That's why I care about the AEW Women's Championship. But just throwing Nyla Rose with little to no story, giving the women enough time on AEW now, like how they were given WWE was giving the women 4 or 5 years ago, before the women's evolution happened. Like minutes, an hour-long programming, minute matches. That's stupid. Hikaru Shida is going to win. Give her freaking sign Thunder Rosa and do something good, damn it. Do something good.
I've watched Britt Baker fight before in person. Give her the championship.
Britt Baker's another good one. I'm waiting for her to do something that's not give Tony Schiavone shit for working at Starbucks or mentioning she's a dentist. But
sorry.
No, you're fine. So the person in charge, why I keep bitching about the AEW Women's Division is because of supposedly Kenny Omega's at the top of booking for the Women's Division, especially when it came to Riho and all the other Joshi wrestlers that AEW got in the beginning when they first started. But he's actually on the card for Full Gear. It's the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament Finals. God, it's so long of a title. So long of a name. It's former tag team facing off. Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page.
Ooh, boy.
Saw some deception and some... we've seen Kenny slowly turn more and more heel as the weeks progress. We've seen him be the cleaner. He's becoming the cleaner again, like how we knew him in New Japan. And that's awesome. Adam Page, on the other hand, he's still the drunk brother. He's still sad boy, cowboy. But he's being booked so much better than how he was to end last year. Oh my God. I think Adam Page done a whole 180. I'm a fan of Adam Page now. After watching him and Kenny face the Bucks at Revolution, that match was so ridiculous. But in this AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament final between Omega and Page, who you got?
This impacts my pick for later. And it's not one that I want to make because I think it's the cleaner. It's going to take this one because they're building him up to be the cleaner. And I don't know. Omega's the best wrestler on the damn planet. I mean, how do you not give the best wrestler on the damn planet the world title? Now, spoilies. That unfortunately does mean that I have to give Mox the win in the finals or in the main event. I want Eddie Kingston to win the title. I want him to be the Kevin Owens of AEW and hold the title for a long time. But I'm gonna be honest. Think we're gonna get a top or 5-star match out of Moxley and Omega.
And their inevitable rematch is going to be nuts, especially now with how Kenny's been turning slowly.
And Omega is gonna beat Moxley for the title. That's what I think is gonna happen.
Ooh-wee.
If I could go that far.
I will reserve my thoughts for the main event until we get there. But for this match, for Kenny and for Adam Page, I'm also going to say Kenny, but the shenanigans after the match, I think he's going to beat the living hell out of Adam Page after the match, like do a little post-match beatdown, brother. And then we're going to get more of that alignment that I hope that I've been wanting him towards FTR, maybe even costing the Bucks later in the show. And we'll get to that part a little bit later because there is another title match between now the tag belts and the AEW World Title, and that is going to be for the TNT Championship. It's going to be Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, they got the name back.
After he got his name back, Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin. This is a highly anticipated match. Allen's been announced as facing the winner, whoever's the TNT champ at Full Gear for a little bit now. And oh my God, Nick, I don't know if you've seen Cody Rhodes' promo on Dynamite from this past Wednesday, but Cody Rhodes is one of the best people on the mic in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
He was on fire. The mic was literally on fire. And he was like, I brought you here. Like, the other EVPs didn't believe in you. I did. I had to wrestle you to prove it. And here you are. And I'm like, yo, of course Cody's going to take credit for Darby Allin. Oh, my God. Like, that's his character, bro. Like, that's what he's rocking with, right? All the members of the Elite are heel, maybe with the exception of Adam Page for now. But let's be honest, they're all heels. But Cody Rhodes is on crack on the mic, and it's insane. It's nuts. But for the sake of the TNT Championship between Darby Allin, who's had an incredible year, by the way, versus Cody, now the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, who do you got?
Cody freaking Rhodes. It's got to hold that. I mean, he is giving mid-card titles a good name, which is something that WWE, in my opinion, has been having trouble with. Because Bobby Lashley's a good champion, don't get me wrong, but I keep forgetting that Sami Zayn's the Intercontinental Champion, and I shouldn't be feeling that way.
Yeah.
Because they're using the Hurt Business more, and I see that title on It's Ugly as Sin, but I see that title on Bobby Lashley. But and same thing with the Ugly as Sin Intercontinental title. I see, Sami Zayn doesn't have a match at Hell in a Cell. I'm like, why? But anyways, I'll get off my soapbox there. It's definitely, I think that Cody Rhodes down the line, for an understanding how much stake he has in this company, but a lot of the Elite guys do. I still think that he should be the world champion because I think that people are going to care by the time he's done with this reign.
Yeah, and I know he just beat Brody Lee not too long ago in that dog collar match, which was nuts.
A good gimmick match? Wow.
Yeah, I know, especially a weird gimmick like a dog collar match. I haven't seen that in like 50 years.
Junkyard Dog.
But with that being said, I'm going to pick Darby Allin. Darby Allin has he's had, dude, on AEW programming, Darby Allin, he's like a combination of what's a good comparison, bro?
Finn Balor and what?
Sting.
Yeah.
Okay. I almost gonna say Sting is somebody else, but I'm glad you filled in the other piece. He's a combination of Finn Balor and Sting, and that's in every good way possible. Darby, he's so young, he's so new, at least to our eyes, on television every week. Granted, a lot of these guys are, but Darby Allin just sticks out. His look sticks out. His gimmick sticks out. His wrestling sticks out. He's a kick-ass wrestler.
Mhm.
Great wrestler. I love watching Darby Allin do his thing. And if Cody knows what's best for business, then
Good shit.
it's good. And I honestly think he's going to give it to Allin, especially with how I think the AEW tag team match is going to go. The tag title match is going to go. Because I don't like the fact of the Elites holding all the belts. I don't like that.
No, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. You're doing exactly what you set out not to do. And what you told us from the beginning what you weren't going to do. So I think Darby's going to win, especially with how seamless transition into the AEW tag team title match between FTR, the current champs, formerly known as the Revival, facing off against the Young Bucks with two stipulations. You have one, that if the Young Bucks lose this match, they're going to be having the Cody Rhodes treatment. They will never be able to challenge for the tag titles ever again. Never again. And Tully Blanchard is banned from ringside for FTR. So, Nick Mulbach, after FTR went to AEW, took the promotion by storm, won the tag belts, and now they're facing off after a years-long feud with the Young Bucks over social media, constantly calling each other out, saying they want to wrestle each other. Now we're finally going to get that at AEW Full Gear. Who is winning this match between the Bucks and FTR, brother?
For the same reason as Cody Rhodes won his match, I think that the Young Bucks are going to win their tag team titles. And I say that because how important, and I think that obviously it's a wrestling company. They could wipe that slate clean whenever they need to. But in my opinion, how important is the Young Bucks to that tag team division? Awesome. It's pretty goddamn important. So in my opinion, I'll say it only for the reason of you're going to want them in that division to stay competitive. And if you push them out of it too early, then it's too early. I think that the Bucks are going to win the titles.
I think so as well. I do agree that the Bucks are going to win. Maybe now that Cody is now Cody Rhodes, at least hopefully he'll go by that AEW programming. Maybe they'll try to figure out a way to get him back into the world title picture at some point. I think it's inevitable. It's Cody Rhodes. If it's not Chris Jericho or if it's someone like that, you're gonna need a face. And Kenny Omega, unfortunately, isn't the biggest name in the American mainstream market. Cody Rhodes is a familiar name to American wrestling fans. So I think that they'll try to figure out a way back to get Cody in the world title picture. But until then, I think the Young Bucks will win their first tag team championships here at AEW. Against
Which
FTR.
Good on them for waiting this long. It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a little more than the year. But this feud is nowhere near over between FTR and the Bucks.
Nope.
And they might even try to do a Elite to be 4 Horsemen type thing. But I don't want to run into the problem of too many factions at AEW. We already have a ton.
Yeah.
But we'll worry about that when we get there. And speaking of factions, there's been a new one that's been popping up in the last month or so. I believe they refer to themselves as the Family. Eddie Kingston came bursting onto the scene during the pandemic, just as a one-off match of Cody Rhodes, but the fans are like, "We love Eddie Kingston," and we do love Eddie Kingston. Talk about killers on the mic. Eddie Kingston's exactly that.
Oof.
And with him aligning himself with the Blade and the Butcher and with the Lucha Bros, like it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Eddie Kingston. But now, given your man Nick Mulbach, they're giving your man a world title match at Full Gear, an I Quit match against the current champion who's been on fire since Revolution, Jon Moxley. So, Nick, I know you're fans of both of these men. Who do you got? Do you have Jon Moxley retaining the belt, or do you have Eddie Kingston winning the belt? I know you alluded to it a little bit ago, but have you changed your mind?
No, unfortunately. I've seen Eddie Kingston, like I said with Britt Baker. This isn't me trying to flex people. I saw them before they were famous. I've seen Eddie Kingston wrestle before. Eddie Kingston is honestly, I saw his match, forgot about him for a little while, but when he showed up on the scene in AEW, I'm like, holy shit, I know this guy. I want to see Eddie Kingston thrive. If you don't know Eddie Kingston, you should look up his funny enough, his matches with Mia Yim. There's some of those out there. Just watch some Eddie Kingston. You're going to want to see this guy thrive. And I think that eventually he will, but right now is not the time. I think because of the Kenny Omega Moxley match that I think is going to happen eventually. If Hangman Page wins for some reason, because obviously that match is going to come first. If Hangman Page beats Kenny Omega, then my pick will still be Moxley, but will slightly change a little bit. But I think that it's going to be Mox versus Omega 2, and it's going to be brilliant.
Yes. I do think this match is going to be killer. They might actually kill each other. That's the scary part. Because it is an I Quit match, and both of these men are known for their relentless tendencies in a wrestling ring. But I think it's just a tad too soon on paper to give the world title to Eddie Kingston. He just showed up. He legitimately just showed up. And I think it's I don't think Eddie Kingston's that big of a name to just give your belt to. Granted, this match is going to rule, and maybe at some point in the near future, Eddie Kingston will get himself some AEW gold. But Jon Moxley's been on fire. This year has been Jon Moxley's probably one of his best in his career, at least the career that I've been following. So I'm gonna rock with Jon Moxley, but the match is gonna rule. It's the first I Quit match in AEW, so this will be a ton of fun to watch. But that is all going down this Saturday. So tomorrow on pay-per-view, because we love us some pay-per-view over here at Wrestle Real.
And we'll be able to talk a little bit about it, I'm sure next week. See if our predictions held up true. Maybe if we do predictions like that and stuff like that, we'll have like a score sheet or something like that. And by the end of the year, we'll see who. And at WatCon, we'll buy each other a burger, depending on who.
You know what? I'll take you up on that, brother. That's what we'll do.
I'm going to buy you a burger either way, but still. That said,
I'm gonna buy you a burger too, Nick.
Moving on to number 3. Number 3 is going to be an interesting one with a little bit of an explanation before we start it. So,
speaking of pay-per-views, Survivor Series is going on at the end of the month for WWE, one of the big 4 pay-per-views that they put on every single year, always around Thanksgiving. When you think Thanksgiving, you think of Survivor Series. When you think of Survivor Series, you think of the gobbledygooker. I totally understand. So, why
number 1. Love gobbledygooker.
It's The Undertaker in an egg. So why are we talking about Survivor Series now, Chris, Nick? What's the deal? What are you guys talking about Survivor Series? Yeah, we know some of the teams for both brands over there at WWE, but shout out to WWE on Fox. They released this incredible photo where it's one of those gimmicks where like, oh, you get $15, pick your Survivor Series team out of these people, and they went ahead and ranked them for us. And that's fantastic. So,
by the way, holy sus, did they rank some of these weirdly?
I was going to say that. Where the hell's Randy Orton?
Well, I'm not even saying that. You mean to tell me that some of these guys I could buy for like $2?
And we'll get into that in a second. But what we're going to do for the sake of Wrestle Real, so Nick and I, instead of just picking the same 5 people for our traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series team, what we're going to do is we're going to go fantasy draft style. So Nick and I both we're both going to have our own respective teams, and we are going to pick our Survivor Series team using the $15. Now, just out of fairness, Nick, I think we should agree on this ahead of time. Are we looking for 5 competitors apiece?
I think we'll do that. So I have this. I had this strange idea that,
Throw it at me.
and maybe it will, and maybe we'll need to create a couple of them just in case. But we're going to find a video game that has our picks in them, and we're going to CPU pin them against each other in a match. Because obviously, Chris and I were in different states.
Yeah.
Next gen systems, we're not battlegrounding this.
No.
We'll find a game. I have a lot of them because my brother got an Xbox with a lot of them. We'll find a game that has our picks in them. We will record the match. We'll commentate over it, and we'll see who picked the right team when it comes down to it. Now, I am not sure. I'm not sure how we're gonna do this whole. What am I thinking? Finding the first pick, because that's a big deal. I mean, we got look at this. That's some elite talent on the board right there.
Exactly. There are some big names all over the place. Whether you're $1 or $5, it's a big deal regardless of where you place. But for the sake of who picks first, Nick, I heard you have a coin. Go ahead and flip to see who goes first.
Yes, I had some pennies that I randomly started fidgeting with, but I can't find them. So for Chris's sake, Nick, where the hell are the pennies? There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
And apparently I'm sitting on a comb. So here's the deal though. Just an FYI. Bear in mind, I don't think that Christian and Savage might be in it. But depending on how things go, and I know that Savage, might be one of your picks, so we'll figure that out when the time comes. Maybe. It's looking like SmackDown versus Raw 2007 is going to be our game, because everybody who is on this picture, and I think Savage might be too, is in that game. So that could be interesting right there.
Even Hennig, bro?
Yeah. Mr. Perfect in that game. Christian's not. So, if you want to take that into consideration, but don't even, we'll figure it out. Don't think that you can't pick Christian.
Okay.
But Hennig, yes, surprisingly enough, is in that game. All right. I'll let you call it. I'm going to make it fair.
Yep.
I will catch it in my hand right here.
I call in the air.
1, 2, 3.
Tails.
Okay. I did not do anything. The first pick. I'm sorry, buddy. It's
hell on earth. All right.
And with the first pick in the Survivor Series Build Your Own Team draft, Nick Mulbach will be selecting The Undertaker.
Damn. Going $5 off the bat. $5 off the bat. Look at the top five. Look at those four in the $5 portion. First of all, Stone Cold, The Rock, John Cena, and The Undertaker. I mean, when you think Survivor Series, you think of The Undertaker.
Yeah,
it's hard not to. He debuted there in 1990, same time as Gobbledygooker, and the history was never the same. So, so now your boy's on the clock. I gotta think, $15. That's not a lot, but at the same time, with how they rank these, it is awfully a lot of time. Or like they're really generous with these.
Mm-hmm.
But with my first pick for your sole survivor, Chris Anthony Lopez, he's going to be knocking $4 off his budget because he is a sexy boy himself. HBK Shawn Michaels is going to be my number one pick. I will leave $11 left on the board, but HBK will join my Survivor Series team. Yes.
Well, because that's the thing is like, you have to think about it when it comes down to these things is you could spend a lot of money early on, but there are a lot of like different people that are in the lower rankings that are worth a ton, which is why for $3 whole with my second round pick, I will be taking Bret the Hitman Hart.
Oh, wow. Bret Hart, Undertaker and Bret Hart. Oh, that's some good ones. Those are some good ones. That's a great way to start. Wow. See, because now I'm scared that you're gonna take. I don't think I can. afford skipping out on the guy that I'm about to take because I'm scared you're going to take him. Okay, so with my number 2 pick, I will be selecting for $3 whole
Okay.
off of my already 11. I'm going to knock it down to 8. I will be choosing. He lies, he cheats, and he steals. Latino Heat.
Yep.
Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero, Latino Heat, baby. Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. But he will be on my Survivor Series team.
Well, I'm very glad you didn't take him because with my next pick, I'm going into the $2 category. I'm taking Kurt Angle.
God damn, that was my next one. Damn.
Which leaves me, though, now with only $5.
Ah, shiitake mushrooms. Okay, so you have chosen The Undertaker. You have chosen Bret the Hitman Hart, and you've chosen the Olympic hero Kurt Angle.
That's right.
Okay, so I have 8 remaining dollars. With my 3rd pick, I feel like I need. You know what? I'm gonna go. I think I can afford this. I think I can afford to do this. So my 3rd pick, so the 3rd round of our Survivor Series draft, according to WWE at Fox, shout out to them. I'm gonna drop down to the number 1 portion. I think I'm gonna go with Mankind.
Mankind. Okay.
I will be going with Mankind. It's a huge risk, but I will be taking my $7 with my last 2 picks. So by all means, Nick, go ahead with your 4th pick in this draft.
I have $5 to work with here,
Mm-hmm.
and I have an ideal way of where my picks are going to be going. And with my 4th pick, I'm going to be reaching into that $4 pile, be grabbing Triple H and his big gold balls and taking him.
Oh, you son of a jerk!
I'm using all my money.
Triple H. I mean, let's be real. It would be foolish to not use all the money if you have it, all 15 of your dollars. So you're going with Triple H. Okay.
But you got a whole $7 to work.
I have a whole $7, and I'm going to use all of that $7 because actually, before we get to that, I'm going to actually go up after my number 1 or my $1 selection. I'll be going back to 3. The $3 row. I'll be choosing the Animal, Batista. Gotta love Batista. I don't know how he is at Survivor Series exactly, but Batista, especially the Batista they showed in this picture, that man was on one. Look at them abs. Oh my God. So I'm gonna pick Batista. That's gonna be my 4th, and that's gonna only drop me $3 down to my remaining 4.
And my friend, I'm down to $1 whole. You took Mankind pretty early. Christian, he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He is. There's an obvious choice to me within this group that might not be as obvious of a choice to you. You got Christian. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I'm not going to go with Christian because I feel like he'd be the first eliminated in this match out of all of these people. And I'm not going to go with Mr. Perfect either because for my last pick, Shucky Ducky, Quack Quack, one of my favorite commentators of all time, one of my favorite SmackDown general managers of all time, one of my favorite Schmodown contributors of all time. Oops, I dropped my mic. I will be going. Can you dig it, sucka? Booker T.
That's a great one. That's a great way to spend your remaining $1, Booker T. And for me, that $1 toss-up was between Booker and Mankind. But, I mean, Mankind was on one when he was in the World Wrestling Federation. Plus Mankind's a freaking... He's your tank. He takes all the damage, and that's where everybody else goes to shine. With my last pick, I have a whole $4.
Oh, I wonder.
So, let me go ahead and look one more time. So I already took HBK. That's my first pick, and I take him in confidence. Take my man in confidence.
I wrote it down already. You don't even have to go through.
Ric Flair. Ric Flair is a great, one of the best wrestlers of all time. One of the most decorated wrestlers of all time. Fantastic. You took Triple H. Triple H. He's a stud. You can't take away from Triple H. You can't. But with my $4 remaining, I'm gonna go with the man who I think if I was alive in the 1980s, this man would have been my bread and butter. I would love this man so much. I do. I still do. But all I can say is that Bonesaw is ready. I'm going with the Macho Man, Randy Savage, as my number 5. Macho Man. This is my this is to me the best I could have done with a team like this with the money I had. But just in review, Nick, can you go back and give me your 5 guys for your ultimate Survivor Series team according to WWE on Fox?
Well, first of all, you madman, you never went with a $5 one. We left Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and John Cena out on the board, and it's going to bite one of us in the ass. I can guarantee you that.
Yes, it will. Yes,
but with my number 1 pick, out of fear that you were going to take him, I almost turned heel and took Randy Savage, but I went with The Undertaker, Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, Triple H, and King Booker.
I mean, that's a solid team.
Dude, I love Booker T, if you can't tell. I love that man.
I watched the compilation on YouTube a couple days ago of him on commentary, and it's so good. Hell no! Like he gets.
Hell no was one of my favorite phrases.
He was us talking about the matches. But in recap, just to break down mine, you're correct. I did not go with the fiver. Spoiler alert, if I did go with the fiver, it totally would have been Stone Cold Steve Austin. But to break down my 5, first of all, HBK, Shawn Michaels, one of the best wrestlers of all time. Mount Rushmore, quote me on that, Shawn Michaels. Number 2, Eddie Guerrero. Number 3, Mankind. Number 4, The Animal Batista. And number 5, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. That is, if this ain't we both picked some juggernauts of the team, right?
Yep.
If I can say one thing about yours, the one thing you did screw me on, and if you going first had this advantage, I was gonna take Kurt Angle if you didn't with my next pick.
Okay.
So that's the one part where we overlapped. I was scared. It was between Eddie and Kurt. And I'm like, I should go Kurt first. I know he's going to take Kurt, but I was scared you're going to take Eddie. And that would have really fucked me. So I wanted Eddie really bad and I wanted Kurt really bad. I chose Eddie over Kurt.
Understood, though, honestly. I mean,
but I'm happy with that.
It was a solid pick. I would have thought about going with Eddie, but I went with Bret instead.
And Bret's another good one. But I'm confident with my team.
Man. He can survive.
Yeah. I'm confident with my team. I like my squad. This can be solid. This can be solid. And I have a lot of confidence in Mankind. Some of you at home might be thinking, Chris, why'd you take Mankind at 3? Because I have confidence in Mankind. Let's be real. Those number 1ers at the bottom, like the Christian, Mr. Perfect, Booker T, Mankind. Those are not $1 people. You could argue that they should be a little bit higher. Let's look at the number 2s for a second. Kane, Mark Henry, Big Show, Kurt Angle. Is that even fair? Kurt Angle sticks out above and beyond the other 3, in my opinion.
Big Show would be pretty close, but yeah.
Big Show's close, but in regards to Survivor Series, when I want those workers, those juggernauts doing the 5-on-5s, I'm picking Kurt leaps and bounds. I'm picking perfect and Mankind before I picked the other three guys in the second round. Even King Booker. I picked him before.
Why is JBL in the $3 ring?
Why is JBL even in this?
Why is JBL even this?
Like I mentioned at the top before we started doing our picks, Randy Orton. Randy Orton is Mr. Survivor Series. He has the most eliminations of all time. He has 3 sole survivors. He's the most of all time, bro. Where is he? He's not even included in this.
Then we got JBL.
And then we got JBL. So WWE on Fox, the only real critique. Swap Randy Orton for JBL. And honestly, you can move Triple H down, put Randy at the 4. Come on now. Come on. But with that being said, we have, I have a little bit of a soapbox to get on before the show ends. So I got my high spot, baby. My high spot for this week, because we haven't had one in a little bit, because we've been talking about like other things we've been doing.
I meant to just do you because
no, you're fine.
Felt like you were going to go on a tangent here.
I mean, I am going to get on my soapbox, but I mean, by all means, you're fine.
Nick, stop being 100 years old and not knowing how to work technology.
So as I was saying, I want your 2 cents if you have any, and I want you to hear my So as I was alluding to, my high spot for the week, and that we didn't have one last week because we were doing the Raw watch along. That was our high spot. You can hear all our 2 cents on that. Go ahead and look up the streaming platforms. Who Are They? Real Entertainment. Go ahead and check that out. So my high spot for the week, because Nick, we went the whole show without talking about Retribution. We went the whole show until right now. WWE, what the hell is your problem? I know for a fact that you want this to work so bad. You want Retribution to work so goddamn bad. But now you're dragging Ricochet into this. Stop it. Stop it now. I like the Hurt Business has moved on. Rightfully so. Now they're feuding with the New Day. Rightfully so. Leave that be. Because now they're going to they beat the New Day clean on Raw. Great.
Yep.
Great. That's what we expect out of the Hurt Business. Because that's a faction that actually is booked correctly and that actually goes on Raw every single week and does something of note and does something meaningful. But Retribution, on the other hand, we have them ditch the Hurt Business entirely. You try to shoehorn these loose ends in WWE's history in 2020 and tie them into Retribution. You gave Mustafa Ali the goddamn hacker gimmick that doesn't freaking work because that's on SmackDown, not on Raw. You force it on Raw. Granted, Tucky's not on Raw, and Nick mentioned what happened to Tucky earlier in the show. I don't even want to talk about Tucky because that's a waste of my breath and energy. But Retribution, now you're picking on Ricochet. Because Mustafa Ali and Ricochet had their battles on main event all the time, and on the main roster all the time. They've been buddies, and now you had the Retribution beat the shit out of Ricochet. What do you gain, Retribution? As hypothetically, what do you gain by beating Ricochet? Just him, just Ricochet. You were going up against a faction that had the same amount of members as you, 4-on-4, and you lost every single time. And now you're picking on one man, Ricochet. Because let's be real. On what earth is Ricochet get a clean win when in the back of his head he has to worry about the 4 other members of Retribution on ringside? So what the hell, WWE? Change something about Retribution and do something of note. Doing something with Ricochet doesn't mean you're succeeding. It doesn't mean it's working. It's not working. Ditch the masks. Ditch the previous gimmick. Ditch the hacker gimmick. Give Mia Yim something to do, for the love of God.
She called out Asuka.
Yeah, you can say you can call out whoever the hell you want, but I want to see them do something about it. Like I know they're teasing going into the women's division. The Raw women's division is already a cluster hell. It doesn't need Retribution's grubby hands all over it. So Retribution, this is my note to you. Add another member that's a female to balance this out a little bit. We have too many guys and one girl. It doesn't have to be Mercedes Martinez, but add somebody.
Yep.
Because that's come on.
Tag team.
Yeah, the women's tag belts. That'd be cool in Retribution. That'd be all right. But what do you need for that? Another lady. Come on now. Ditch the masks. Ditch them. Who cares? Ditch the names. Who cares? I know Mustafa Ali tried justifying the names. No one's going to take Flapjack seriously. No one's going to take Mace seriously. No one's going to take T-Bar seriously. If Mustafa Ali is the only one that kept his name, why can't Dio Madden, Dominic Dijakovic, Mia Yim, and Shane Thorne keep their names? Why can't they keep their names? That's my only. That's like, we're not dumb. We're not stupid. And when fans go back to the arena at some point, because you know WWE is going to try to shoehorn fans back into the arenas, we're going to know it's who's. We're going to know it's them. They're going to be clamoring for Dijakovic. They're going to be clamoring for Dio Madden. Well, maybe not so much, but Mia Yim, Shane Thorne, Mustafa Ali. All these people could be doing significantly better things besides wasting their time on stupid segments on Raw, wasting everybody's time and their own, and burying Ricochet in the process. And as someone, Ricochet was taken early in the draft, surprisingly early in the Raw draft. And you're putting him with Retribution. Of all things, you're putting him against Retribution. I hope this lasts 1 week. I hope they move on to somebody else. I really do. I hope they forget about the Ricochet thing. I hope they fell asleep on Monday thinking, who did Retribution mess with on Raw? Oh, we don't remember. Let's do something else. But because Ricochet doesn't deserve it. Granted, the people of Retribution don't deserve the hate that they're getting right now. But it's because they're tied up with stupid gimmicks that they're trying to force down our throats. If you're going to be a prominent presence on Raw, do something cool. And we mentioned Sanity earlier in the show. The same thing happened to Sanity. They were on NXT, successful, doing great things. Eric Young, Killian Dane, Alexander Wolf, and Nikki Cross, all doing fantastic things on NXT. But the second they got to the main roster, it all went to shit. Who else can I say that for? Dominic Dijakovic, Mia Yim, Shane Thorne, to an extent Dio Madden, and Mercedes Martinez. And she appeared on screen once as part of the group. So what the hell, Retribution? Change something for the love of God. And I swear, like these fools, right? These nerds that we see all the time, right? I get it. It looks cool in theory. In theory, it looks cool. And if you pitched us, like we were just talking about Mankind a second ago, he wore a mask for his gimmick, and it worked. And it worked. A weird mask as a gimmick can work, but not when you're like anarchists or whatever the hell this is, right? You got like the Black Panther makeup on Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez. You have Slapjack wearing a damn hockey mask. Dio Madden looks like Bane, and I don't even want to like freaking Dominic Dijakovic looks like what's
Bane?
his nuts? Well, he doesn't look like Bane. Well, yeah, he does look like Bane, but he looks like Joe from Mad Max. So I don't know what you're trying to do, WWE. I really don't. And we come on the show every week. We talk about Retribution as a meme. This is the one time I'm gonna talk about Retribution and not laugh at them. Like y'all can do better. This could actually work. But it's not too late either. It's not too late. But the longer you wait, it looks like you're ditching the Hurt Business and Retribution Survivor Series match because you did it on Raw 2 weeks ago. So what's the point of doing it again?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I don't have a lot to add to that at all.
Just saying.
Here's one thing that I have a pitch to you, and then we'll end the show because we both have to work in the morning.
Yes, please go ahead.
You want them to be the crazy anarchist group that they are, right?
To an extent, yeah.
That's what they need to be. That's what they were brought in for. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Mustafa, not Mustafa. He said it's Mustafa.
Oh, Mustafa.
Say it right. He made a big deal about that on Talking Raw or whatever. We are going to have a match on Raw, and it's going to be Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when Ali wins, he will be the 5th member of Team Raw.
Oh.
And Retribution will wreak havoc on Team Raw and Team SmackDown. It's not going to happen, but that gives you an in order to actually make them do something anarchist-like. It's stupid, but it won't work. But like,
that's sacrificing the men's traditional match at Survivor Series
for Retribution.
Unless they continue to have the match after, and they're all like beat to shit. But I'm not opposed. You had me until they were involved in the match. But Mustafa, did I say it right? Mustafar, when he
Mustard Ali, yes.
Yeah, when Mufasa Ali, if he joins, if he's the 5th member of Team Raw, I can get behind that. Where he's still including Retribution on the show, and maybe that they can have Raw win the match, and we're like, okay, and then they beat the shit out of Team Raw afterwards. Maybe that's the case. Maybe, but at the same time, who knows? We're just fans. And we'll see what WWE does because they have no idea what they're doing with Retribution. But that's going to do it for the show this week here on Wrestle Reel. Thank you so much for joining us, Nick, man. The hour and a half. We refuse to go anything further.
No. Hour and 5 minutes is probably going to be where we crack things off. But thank you, everybody, for watching, as always. I know that both of us are probably getting a bit tired right now, so hopefully you can deal with us. But like, yeah, frankly, after this and after we end this, I'm probably just gonna be like, all right, good night. You know, we do this every week. We have so much fun with it. If there's anything that you guys want to see us do, please leave that in the comment section below. But with that, my name is C. Molbach Punk. That right there on the other side of me, whatever, there we go, is the Soul Survivor, Mr. Chris Anthony Lopez. I don't know if you got anything else to say, my friend.
Go ahead and check out our watch-alongs, our commentaries for our stuff on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Expect more of those. Maybe we should do a Survivor Series at some point this month.
I think so.
Go ahead and expect that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, soon to be Amazon Podcasts. Just type in "Who Are They?" ? Real Entertainment, the name of the channel, and you'll find them. And you find the audio for this. If you can't watch the video form, listen to us on podcast form.
That's right.
Yeah. Go ahead and check that. And the other shows on the channel, but there's a ton to name. You can just see them on the YouTube.
That's right, everybody. With that, I'm Nick.
And I'm Chris.
We're the kids at heart. And
that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.